For many people, food is simply a matter of taste, culture, or habit. But for Muslims, what they eat and what they avoid is deeply tied to their faith. It is a reflection of obedience to God. The concept of halal and haram, meaning permissible and forbidden, is not just a dietary code. It's a moral framework that defines purity, discipline, and respect for divine boundaries. And yet, in a world of globalization, fast food chains, and industrial processing, it's becoming harder and harder to distinguish what's truly halal. This is where the critical eye must step in. Let's talk about what Muslims cannot eat, not as a list of arbitrary rules, but as a code of ethics and spirituality. The first and most obvious forbidden category is pork. Every Muslim knows this rule. But few people stop to understand why it's forbidden. The Quran explicitly mentions it in multiple verses. He has forbidden you only dead animals, blood, the flesh of swine, and that which has been dedicated to other than Allah. It's repeated in 4 different surahs. To the believer, that repetition alone signals importance. Pork is not haram because of ancient superstition. It's because it violates the principle of cleanliness, purity, and obedience. The animal itself is considered impure. It eats filth, carries parasites, and, from an Islamic perspective, symbolizes a disregard for the sacred boundaries that separate what is pure from what is defiled. But pork is only the surface. The second forbidden category is dead meat, known as mayta in Arabic. This refers to any animal that dies on its own, without proper slaughter. Islam requires that animals be slaughtered in the name of God, with a sharp, swift cut that drains the blood and causes minimal suffering. An animal that dies through suffocation, beating, or accident is not halal, no matter how healthy it looks. This rule isn't about cruelty, it's about consciousness. A Muslim must be aware of how life ends before that flesh reaches the plate. Modern meat industries often hide this process, but Islam demands that the act of taking life be done with reverence, not convenience. Blood itself is also forbidden. Consuming blood, whether raw or cooked, is seen as a corruption of human nature. It represents aggression, raw instinct, and the disregard of moral restraint. In the Quran, the prohibition is crystal clear. Yet in modern food production, blood sometimes hides in plain sight. Sausages, black pudding, and certain flavoring agents in soups or sauces contain traces of animal blood. For the practicing Muslim, this requires constant vigilance. What others see as harmless additives, Islam sees as a moral compromise. Then comes the food sacrifice to other than Allah, the idol's food, so to speak. This is not just about old pagan rituals. Today, it includes any meat over which another name is invoked. A saint, a spirit, or anything other than the Creator himself. Even if the slaughter is clean and the meat looks perfect, it becomes spiritually polluted. This rule reminds Muslims that faith must extend even to the smallest details, that no blessing, no meal, no bite of nourishment should be disconnected from the remembrance of God. There's another overlooked category: carnivorous animals and birds of prey. Lions, tigers, wolves, eagles, and falcons are all forbidden. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, prohibited eating any beast with fangs or any bird with talons. This rule is ethical, ecological, and symbolic. Such animals are predators. They live by killing. Their nature is aggressive, and consuming them, according to Islamic reasoning, transfers some of that wild, untamed energy to the human soul. It's not superstition, it's spiritual psychology, the belief that what you consume shapes who you are. Similarly, domesticated donkeys are forbidden, though horses and camels are not. During the Prophet's time, the meat of domestic donkeys was banned because these animals were used for work, not for food. The rule carries a moral undertone. Don't turn necessity into greed. Respect the creatures that serve humanity. Alcohol deserves its own category. It's not just a forbidden drink, it's a test of will. The Quran calls it the mother of all evils because it clouds the mind and leads to moral decay. But what most people don't realize is that alcohol can hide in food as well, in sauces, desserts, and even flavor extracts like vanilla or wine vinegar. For Muslims, even trace amounts raise ethical questions. It's not only about intoxication, but about integrity. If something compromises the clarity of the mind or the purity of intention, it loses its place in the halal world. Another hidden danger lies in enzymes, gelatin, and emulsifiers. These are often derived from animals, but food labels rarely specify their sources. Gelatin from pork or non-halal beef is one of the most common violations of halal rules today. It appears in candies, marshmallows, capsules, yogurts, and ice creams. Unless it's labeled as halal or plant-based, it's suspect. Critics might call this excessive caution, but in reality, it's about accountability. Islam teaches mindfulness in everything, even what dissolves in your mouth. There's also the issue of cross-contamination. For example, if halal meat is cooked in the same oil or on the same grill as pork, it becomes haram. Purity in Islam is not just physical, it's spiritual. The tiniest mix can invalidate an entire meal. This attention to detail may seem extreme to outsiders, but it's a discipline of respect. Respect for boundaries, for intention, and for the sacred order of creation. Even vegetarian food can become haram if cooked or flavored with forbidden ingredients. A plant-based dish sautéed in wine, a soup flavored with bacon, or fries fried in lard all violate halal standards. Islam doesn't simply ask, is it meat? But how was it made? That question separates halal from haram, integrity from negligence. And yet, the deeper truth behind these restrictions is not about what Muslims can't eat, it's about what they choose not to eat, out of respect for divine wisdom. The discipline of halal eating trains the believer to resist temptation, to question what's placed before them, and to live with intention. Every bite becomes an act of worship. Every refusal becomes an act of obedience. Critically speaking, one could argue that halal rules are among the most consistent ethical food systems in the world. While others debate the morality of industrial slaughter or the health risks of processed meat, Islam already set a standard centuries ago. Humane killing, complete draining of blood, no consumption of carrion, no intoxicants, and no gluttony. These aren't primitive taboos, they're moral safeguards. They demand that humans respect life, purity, and balance. In the end, what Muslims are forbidden to eat is more than a set of religious bans. It's a mirror of their values. It teaches them self-control in a world that glorifies indulgence, mindfulness in a culture that forgets where food comes from, and faith in a system that still dares to call things sacred. The halal code may seem strict, but it's not about limitation. It's about liberation, from heedlessness, from greed, from arrogance toward the natural world. So when a Muslim says, I can't eat that, it's not just about avoiding pork or alcohol. It's a statement of identity. It says, I live by something higher than appetite, and in an age where morality is negotiable and truth is often blurred, that commitment, that quiet act of saying no, might be the most radical form of devotion left.